Hello and welcome, my friend. If this is your first visit, hit that subscribe button and share the video. It supports my channel a lot. Let me know which country or city you're watching from. I truly value your comments. Let's dive in. Nina didn't even glance up when I zipped the last suitcase shut. She was perched at the kitchen island, her half-drunk coffee sitting nearby, the pale glow of her laptop screen casting faint light on her face. Though her eyes flicked across what looked like emails, I could tell her attention was elsewhere. Far too many open tabs, none of them work-related. "I'll be gone for 10 days, I said. "Conference finishes next weekend. Might take Monday off to unwind." Her response came quietly, barely audible. "Okay." No questions about my departure time, no wish for a safe trip. Just that one word, and then she returned to the screen. That had become our routine lately, cohabiting under the same roof, going through the motions, as if the relationship still meant something. I picked up my bag, slung my jacket over my shoulder, and paused by the door. Still, she didn't lift her eyes. "You need anything while I'm gone?" She gave a slight shake of her head. "I'm good." I lingered another second, then stepped outside. But what stuck with me wasn't what she said, it was what she was wearing beneath her robe. Fully dressed, accessories and all. Definitely not how she usually looked when working from home. She rarely bothered to dress up for Zoom, and she told me she wouldn't be going into the office that week. Even then, I didn't say a word. I wasn't one for impulsive accusations. I got on the plane, checked into the Berlin hotel, and followed my itinerary. But the suspicion stayed with me, like a pebble lodged in a shoe. 2 nights in, bored and alone in my hotel room, I opened the long unused smart home app. I wasn't even sure why. Just a hunch. A name showed up on the Wi-Fi log, L. Wyatt's iPhone. I stared at the screen, expressionless. Then I shut off the phone and went to sleep. The next morning, I called Preston. He was the only one I could trust for something like this. A former head of security at a hedge fund, now working solo. I gave him access to the home system and explained what I needed. Quiet observation, no assumptions, just clear, objective facts. If something was happening, I didn't want guesses. I wanted proof. That evening, I called Nina from my hotel room, keeping it light. "Hey, everything okay over there?" "Yeah," I told her. "The conference is going well. Had a solid session earlier. How are things back home?" She paused. "Fine. Pretty quiet. Just working." "You been out at all?" "Not much," she said. "Weather's been terrible. Mostly staying in." "Got it," I said. The call didn't last long, maybe 3 minutes. Her tone was too composed, too measured. I used to call that overthinking. Now I trust it as instinct. After we hung up, I sent Preston a message. L. Wyatt's iPhone appeared again. He responded quickly, "I'll handle it." The next day, he sent me a video, footage from a backup camera I had installed years ago, one she never knew about. It wasn't tied to the system she could access. The clip showed the front door swinging open. Nina stepped outside, wearing jeans and a long coat. A man in a sleek gray jacket approached. They hugged, not casually, but like it meant something. Preston included the timestamp, Friday, 6:42 p.m. I kept my eyes on the screen for a long time, then typed, "Can you identify him?" An hour later, the reply came, Logan Wyatt, sales rep, used to work at her agency. The name rang a bell. She'd mentioned him once, early on, said they used to get drinks after work. "Just friends," she'd said. I hadn't thought about it since. Preston followed up with more details. Wi-Fi access history, motion sensor pings, even 2 silent indoor clips. One showed Logan in the kitchen while Nina poured wine. I watched it without moving. It didn't surprise me. It aligned with everything. I sent another message. "Can you keep watching for 48 more hours?" A thumbs-up emoji was all he sent back. Preston didn't waste time. Over the next 2 days, he sent everything. logins, motion alerts, front door videos. Logan had been over 4 times in 5 days, twice overnight, twice during daylight hours. One video caught them in the kitchen. Logan behind her, hands on her waist. She leaned into him. That was all I needed. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. That wasn't my way. Instead, I saved all of it. Archived the evidence. I wanted no room for error, no drama, no deniability. The following day, I roamed Berlin like a tourist, but my mind was back home. I drafted a checklist, bank credentials, copies of critical documents, asset protection, and the prenup. Then I phoned my attorney, Monica Keene, told her I needed a quiet consultation, said I'd give her the full context when I got back. She didn't press. Understood, she said. By the 5th night, I booked an earlier flight. Nina believed I'd be gone until the end of the week. I didn't correct her. The conference had wrapped up. Some sessions were canceled, a few meetings rescheduled. I had no reason to stay, and more important things to handle. I left Berlin just after 10 a.m., arriving home a little after 1 p.m. local time. Took a cab, walked into the house. The place was quiet. Her scent still clung faintly in the air. A wine glass sat in the sink. Another one rested on the living room table, lipstick smudged on the rim. I didn't need more evidence, but I took photos anyway. Her weekend bag was missing. Nothing marked on our shared calendar. The guest room looked used. Her robe lay discarded on the floor. I stood in the doorway for a while, silently observing, like inspecting the scene of a break-in. For the next 2 hours, I copied files from the home office, updated account passwords, and locked down every digital trace. Then I called Monica. "I'm ready to proceed," I said. Nina walked in that evening, carrying grocery bags like it was any ordinary day. I stood at the kitchen counter, pouring myself a drink. The moment she spotted me, she stopped in her tracks, her face tightening. "You're back early," she said, clearly caught off guard. "I changed my itinerary, took a flight this morning," I answered evenly. Her eyes dropped to the bags in her hands, then flicked back to mine. "I just got back from the store," she said quickly. I gave her a small nod, set down my glass, and gestured toward the table. "Have a seat." She hesitated for a second, then placed the bags on the counter and slowly made her way over. She sat down with the cautious stiffness of someone who understood what was coming, but wished it would pass over. I pulled a folder from the drawer and laid it in front of her. "What's this?" she asked, her voice guarded. "Everything," I replied. "Wi-Fi history, doorbell camera stills, screenshots, app usage." She opened her mouth slightly but said nothing. "Logan Wyatt," I added. The name didn't ring a bell at first, but he's been here, several times. "Jonas, that's not—" "It is," I interrupted, my voice calm, emotionless. "I'm not here to argue." She stared at the folder, then leaned back slowly, folding into herself. "You were spying on me?" A faint smirk formed on my lips. "No, I was recording facts." That struck home. I slid a second folder across the table. "This one's for Monica Keene, our lawyer. She's already drafting the divorce paperwork. Your infidelity nullifies any claim to our assets, according to the prenup we both signed." Nina didn't say a word. "I'll handle things fairly," I continued. "You've got 7 days to organize your departure. Monica will call tomorrow. Everything's already set in motion." She finally spoke. "So this is just final?" "It is," I said, lifting my glass again. "I'm not here to punish you. I just want closure." With that, I walked out of the kitchen. She remained seated. That night, she didn't come to bed. I could hear her later, pacing back and forth, whispering harshly into the phone. There were no sobs, no pleas, just frustration. I stayed in bed, undisturbed. By morning, she was gone. A short note on the counter said she'd be staying with a friend and would be in contact. No names, no address. Before noon, Monica called. She's already reached out to an attorney, she said, but there's nothing they can do. Our case is solid. Perfect, I replied. Let's proceed. The days that followed were quiet. Nina sent a single message. This is cruel, Jonas. I never thought it would end like this. I didn't answer. Preston came by Saturday. We sat out back as he updated me. Logan hadn't been seen near Nina since everything unraveled. No surprise there. Monday came. Nina arrived in a small moving truck with a woman I didn't recognize. Mid-30s, reserved, kept to herself. Nina didn't say a word. She gathered her things, just essentials, clothes, some books, a few framed pictures. At the door, she paused. You weren't like this when we first met, she said. I looked her straight in the eye. I wasn't naive then either. Her expression darkened. Is that really what you think of me? No, I said, my voice flat. It's what you made it into. She didn't respond. She turned and walked out. The door shut behind her like the final line of a closing act. The house was mine again, silent, still, but this time, honest. By Friday, something had shifted. The space felt lighter, as if some invisible weight had lifted. Monica filed the divorce papers quickly. Nina didn't fight it. She knew the truth wasn't on her side. Her lawyer tried a few soft tactics, emotional appeals, vague insinuations, but Monica shut them down with ease. She wants to save face, Monica told me. Let her. I did. Word got around, as it always does. Friends stopped asking about Nina. I didn't offer details. I didn't have to. Nina, though, wasn't coping well. Zara, someone we both knew, mentioned she had moved into a modest rental in a cheaper neighborhood. Said she needed time to figure things out. Logan vanished not long after the affair became public. He quit his job at the marketing firm 2 weeks later. Rumor was his wife had found out everything. The irony spoke for itself. So much ruin for a few stolen nights. The divorce finalized faster than I imagined. No resistance, just a clean break. I began decluttering, closets, shelves, old mementos. I sold the house within a month. Too many memories lingering in the walls, too much space that no longer served a purpose. I donated half the furniture and stored the rest. A month later, I flew to Barcelona. No set itinerary, no plans. I wandered through narrow alleys, took photos, and lingered at cafes with no agenda. At first, the silence was unsettling, but in time, it stopped feeling hollow. It started to feel earned. 3 months later, I saw her again. I was at the airport, waiting for a last-minute flight to Tokyo. A gate change sent me walking to a different terminal, and there she was, sitting alone. Nina. She looked changed. No makeup, hair pulled back, a blue airline ID hanging from her neck. Her uniform was plain and functional, nothing like the polished image she used to project. She looked up and spotted me. There was a brief pause. Then she stood. Jonas, she said softly. Nina. She took a few steps forward, but kept a respectful distance. Civil, controlled. I wasn't expecting to see you, she said, motioning vaguely in the direction of the terminal. They switched the gate, I replied. She nodded slightly. I'm with Ground Ops now, admin side. It's not glamorous, but it covers the expenses. I answered with a silent nod. I speak both Spanish and French, she added. That helped get me in the door. Things were tough after. Her voice faded, the sentence left unfinished. I'm glad you landed on your feet, I offered. She looked away briefly, then met my eyes again. I owe you an apology. For everything. I never said it before. I guess I was too stubborn, too wrapped up in pretending I knew more than I did. I didn't rush to fill the silence. I let it settle. When she finally looked at me again, her expression was softer, unguarded, maybe even honest in a way I hadn't seen in years. I hope you're doing well, she said quietly. I am, I replied. We sat in the stillness of that moment. She glanced at the clock on the wall, then turned back to me. I should get back. I gave her a nod. Take care, Nina. You too. She turned and walked off toward the employee access hallway, never once looking back. I stayed where I was, watching her disappear down the corridor. No angry words, no tears, no final confrontation. Just two people who had once shared a life, now moving in different directions. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to relive any of it. Later, on the plane, I settled into my seat by the window and rested my head back. That encounter at the terminal would be the last time I thought about Nina. Not with regret, not with longing. She simply became part of an earlier version of myself, a version that mistook silence for closeness and believed routine was love. When we met, I thought I was choosing something reliable. She had a way of making life feel structured, safe. But some people live behind a mask, always performing, and expect you to never look beyond it. I did. And instead of reacting with emotion, I observed, stepped back, and made my decision. Not out of ego, but out of self-respect. Now, I live on my own terms. I'm not retired, just deliberate. I take on freelance work when I feel inspired, consult with startups when projects intrigue me, and avoid anything done purely for praise. Sometimes people ask what happened between us. I always give the same answer, calm and clear. She made her decisions. I made mine. That's all it ever takes to close the subject. Just like that morning I left for Berlin, when I walked out the door and she barely looked up, I did the same today. The only difference was that this time, it was the end. There would be no return. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.